Yeah. So whether it's online, whether it's a kiosk in a mall, whether it's a bit of both, um, I encourage brand new people to the business to be strategic with the samples that they create. They're really, really important. Whether it's for video or pictures for multimedia, for just an online business, for a website, or whether it's for printed material in the form of a brochure, or most importantly, for the retail settings like a mall or a market or a pop-up where there's actual eyeballs, foot traffic looking at the product. So to spend money wisely on samples is something that I encourage, and I'll do follow-on sessions, over Zoom with wholesalers to kind of discuss their strategy. Because here's the thing, in a mall especially, you need to kind of cover it all. What do I mean by that? You don't know who's going to be walking by your store. You can't just have babies as samples. You can't just have elderly people as samples. You can't just have animals as samples. You want all of the above essentially, right? And you want to be smart about your demographic of where your store is. If there's a certain ethnicity that's prevalent where your store is, you want to make sure you show that ethnicity as samples. What does the hair texture, the skin tone look like with that given ethnicity? You don't just want one example. And again, you don't just want older people. You don't just want babies. You want a little bit of everything in between. Now, here's the constant. No matter what, I don't care what channel, I don't care what geography. If you don't have at least 3 dog samples, you're hurting yourself, because no matter what, the dogs are king as far as selling crystals. So I personally have made a lot of samples with my own family and friends, and I encourage other new wholesalers to do the same. Because to your point, I could just point and say, hey, we just came up with that brand new crystal ball. There's me and my daughter, right? Or I'll point to that heart over there. There's my daughter and my son 17 years ago. Now, the point is that I'm not an old man. The point is, how good were digital cameras 17 years ago? Look at the results. So now we're talking about my kids. We're not talking price. We're not talking add-ons. We're not talking, we're just talking about my kids, right? So I definitely encourage that. Now, the other thing, in addition to that, from a strategy standpoint, is show at least 1 or 2 with engraving, because that's an add-on that increases your transaction size. You want to show one with a 2D background, show one with a 3D background, because those are optional add-ons as well that can increase your transaction size. Show the different light bases, because those are the light bases that your customers are buying. We can also sell you, a retail display case that's meant for retailers, but as far as what the customers are buying, show the product the way they would have it presented in their own home. So you want to have those different examples. You don't have to have every single shape and size. You definitely want one of each shape. That would be a good idea. But, family, friends, show the different options for add-ons. It would be the other part of that, in addition to things that you can talk about organically.
I just want to reiterate one point that you just mentioned, because I thought this was brilliant, is the one where he said 17 years ago, a photo in a 3D crystal. And so what you definitely want to do is, when you're putting displays up, yes, you might provide many photos to create 3D crystal displays from images you've taken on your iPhone today, which all of us know that today's iPhones are overkill for quality. They're exceptionally high resolution. But what you'll also want to do is, take a photo of a photo. So maybe you've got that photo of your grandparents or your great-grandparents on the wall. Snap a photo of it, send it to us. You'll be amazed with what we're able to do with photos of photos. And this is a very, very common request from a customer. It's like, I have an old photo, it's a hard copy, you're going to be able to do it. And, they don't want to take it off the wall or take the glass off of it and risk losing quality or whatever. So give them tips and tricks on how to keep the flash off, take a photo with their iPhone, send it to you, and then you'll be able to show them an example of something that was done in a similar way on display. And the other thing that you might also want to do is, to us, we know we're selling people's images in crystal, but sometimes people think that you're actually selling that crystal. So they'll see the dog in the crystal and they'll be like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll buy that crystal, and they'll actually buy that crystal with that dog in it, right? Because it looks similar to their dog, right? But that's not what we're doing.
Give me sharing, Riaz. I want to show a picture to that point.
Go ahead.
Yeah, give me the sharing option, because that's a great point. So I've circled 3 things in this particular store. You can see right front and center, dog. Dogs sell. Put a dog, a big one, front and center, right? And this happens to be my sister's dog, Dexter. Just a simple iPhone picture in the living room. I'm showing the before and after so people get it. There's also a banner here from, I'm going to plug Vistaprint. There's also a banner here, showing the befores and afters. Over here on the right, my son, about 3 years ago, with his prom date in the Hull. Here's the before, here's the after. So this is very, very important. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing because I just wanted to illustrate.
That's brilliant. So that's what I was getting at, was where you see Lawrence has put the original photo. So that's then intuitively telling the customer that, hey, we're doing it from your photo, right? So it's not us just selling wares off our table. This is showing you what we can do, but you give us the photo, right? So yeah, no, definitely that's what you would want to do in order to just kind of educate the customer on different possibilities that they have concerning their ability to get a 3D crystal done from pretty much any asset that they provide to you.
They don't realize it can be anything. I think the strangest thing I did was a fingerprint. Someone sent me a photo of a thumbprint. I think it was someone deceased. I don't ask a lot of questions because sometimes it could be a sensitive situation. So I'm very careful. A fingerprint. Okay. We'll make it 3D in the crystal. So I think that was the strangest thing I've ever done.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that was very, very fruitful. I just want to also conclude in saying that it doesn't have to just be people and pets. It can be anything, right? So items, objects, buildings, anything really can be put into a crystal. I think Lawrence mentioned yachts, but any just try and make it as broad as possible, because what we found is that this product appeals to just such a broad audience. I think that the only real restriction I would say, if I were ever targeting anyone, is I would restrict my budget to market to people who have a credit card. So that's very broad, right? But you wouldn't want to market this to like a 10-year-old because they're not going to spend $200 on your crystal. Although they're very, very smart. I'll tell you that many times at a trade show, it's the kids that stop and start pulling their parents back. But you want to definitely have a very broad range of samples. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Lawrence?
No, that's great. Just make it broad, cover ethnicities, age groups, have people, places, things, be topical to the geography that your store is in, right? In Hawaii, show surfing. So those are the messages here, and don't skimp. And if you're in a mall, especially, make new samples every now and then. I know it can get costly, but it's an important investment because people will come by your store and they'll see something new and they'll notice that there's something new. We'll talk about crystal collages maybe in the next episode.
Just remember that you're seeing the crystal every day, but for many people, it's their first time seeing it. And so ensuring that it's Windex and it's polished and shiny and glimmering, and that it doesn't have chips and cracks on it. And if it does, take it off. Don't keep that on. Just order another sample to fill up that space. But making it look pristine is definitely what you want in order to have that customer feel confident about spending top dollar on some of your amazing products that you're offering to them. All right, Lawrence, I want to thank you. You're doing an exceptional job. We started, at least you joined me here a little over a year ago, I'd say, and the amount of feedback that I've been getting from people who have seen and learned from what you share is phenomenal. So keep at it. And thank you again for chasing me down to do these. I appreciate that because this is really at the heart of what I love to do. I'm going to ask you guys, please, if you find this of benefit, please do subscribe, like, share, send your comments, click on that thumbs up, and turn notifications on so you know every time we release a new video or decide to go live. Thanks again.